So yesterday we started off discussing about garbage collector, which helps in removing unused objects. Okay, gets deleted or removed by GC. Okay, so this is what we have seen yesterday. So in continuation to this, let me make you understand a new concept in under garbage collector called destructor. Okay, so what do you mean by destructor? So destructor is something which is completely opposite to concept of constructor. Okay, so what is that, sir? Constructor is a special method which helps in initializing some data to object at the time of object creation. Correct. Likewise likewise destructor is also a special method which helps in uh, you know resource releasing statements from the object at the time of object deletion. Okay, so let me give a couple of points about destructor and then I'll explain. So like the way how Python has got constructor constant name, likewise its destructor also should contain constant name. Okay, it's a standard name for Python. So when destructor of a class gets executed, destructor of a class gets execute whenever the class object is whenever class object is deleting from the memory location. Okay, from the memory location. So whenever object is going to take birth, at that time constructor gets execute. Whenever object is going to take birth, that time constructor gets execute. Whenever object is going to die, at that time destructor gets execute. Okay, so is that fine? My voice is okay now? Yeah. So basically for what reason we use destructor is, one second. So Snehita, you need to check your system. Rest are all responding yes. Okay, so basically for where we use destructor, see, resource releasing statements or resource deallocation statements. I'll tell you, resource releasing statements or resource deallocation of statements, deallocation statements are basically recommended to put in destructor. So what do you mean by that, sir? Let me tell you. See, resource releasing statements means what? Whenever your job is completed, while coming out from that place, you have to hand over something and you should come out. Okay. So see, simple. I'll tell you. Uh, in shopping malls, people when they get inside, okay, the moment they get inside, they change their clothes into that their dress code. Correct. So the moment when you get inside, immediately dress code is coming to you automatically. That is constructor. So when after completion of work, evening 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., when they come out from that place, the moment when they are going out, they have to hand over the uniform to them, and they will get back to their own normal dresses, normal attire, right? So while coming out, you hand over something to others. So there, the concept of destructor is coming to the picture. The other way, if I have to tell you in a very layman standards, see, the moment whenever see, grandfather is telling, the moment whenever I will get, meaning my son gives birth to his son, in the sense, the moment when my grandchild comes into this earth, immediately I am giving 1 crore of my property to him. Okay. So when that 1 crore of property will be into live only after that grandchild has taken birth. From that day onwards, meaning his agreement is like that, okay, with his family. Okay, so that is constructor. The moment child born, he got 1 crore property, right? Destructor is, this old man only has written in this way, right? The moment when I die, okay, immediately my all property should equally distributed to all my child. Getting my point? So the time of taking birth, allocating something is called constructor. Automatically, these things will happen. At the time of taking of birth, automatically something happens, that is through constructor. At the time of deleting, closing, okay, in layman terms, dying, coming out, okay, so things will automatically hand over. So that is nothing but called destructor. Okay. So why destructor concept I'm discussing here? Because object is going to get a delete, right? So what happens and how it gets delete, RVC count, we will understand more through programs. So come here. So I am defining constructor of my class. Okay. So in constructor of X, I am defining M1 of class in M1 of X. I am defining even destructor of a class. Okay, this is how your destructor looks like in destructor of X. Okay, so when I create object control S F5, what happens when I do control S F5? Tell me, with your knowledge, you should be able to say. Tell me, when I create object, what will be the outputs? Constructor gets invoked. Okay, so correct. In constructor of X is what output is coming. So by default, 1 crore property has come to child, kind of. Okay, he has not done anything, just taken birth. Likewise, x1 dot m1. Now manually he has to earn. That is like, manually you have to execute method. Okay, right. Now you see, so this you already know. Okay, this program is nothing special, because just that I am showing syntax of destructor. So now x2 is equals to x, right? X2 dot m1, same story, right? So a couple of times your destructor gets executed, and couple of times your method gets executed, and two object different address locations you can see. Am I right or wrong? Two objects got created, and two times constructor executed, and we have also called two times our method. So basically, this is how you define your destructor. Okay, destructor syntax. Okay, right now, sir, here we have understood how constructor is getting executed, because by birth of object constructor is getting executed. We have also understood x1.m1 because see, getting execute of this method is x1.m1. So how and when this destructor gets executed should be your question, right? So destructor gets execute only when this objects gets a delete from the memory. So for now we have object 1, and for now we have object 2. So an object 1 has got one fellow is referencing, object 2 has got one fellow referencing this object. Okay, so total two objects are there in my program. So two times there is a scope for us to execute the destructor method, but for now you don't know how we have to ensure of deleting the object, the syntax part of it. Okay, right. So now let me tell you, let me show you. I hope you have taken this, right? So let me proceed with another example. Shall I? Or I'll wait 30 seconds, quickly take. Moving on, Control S. So please see this. So just take the same class code. Okay. So previous program only. Slight changes I am going to do now. In constructor of X. So in one of X, in destructor of X. So you see now, what I'm going to do now is I will not create any object physically. Okay, uh, meaning I will create object, but I will not allow any reference variable to point out my object location. In the sense, you should understand, let me execute. So this program makes you understand many things. Okay, after my class code what I am writing, you have not seen this kind of syntax till now in oops concepts, right? So I tried creating object x1 is equals to x, and then through x1 I used to call my object methods. But this time here what I am doing is direct with object I am calling my method. Okay, direct with object means what, sir? So this is what the object, right? Till now object reference variable dot method name is what I have used. Now direct with object dot m1. So will this work, sir? Please see, Control S, F5. You can see interesting output. What is the output you can see? Tell me, what is the output you can see? Hmm? Let me execute if you want once again. Control S, F5. Can you see that? What's happening, sir, here? Interesting, right? With the help of one line, you manage to execute constructor, you manage to execute a method, and also destructor. So, what is that happening here? If you really have idea, tell me. So, all three got executed. That's correct. So, sir, how, where, explain the concept of destructor, how it got executed? See, I'll tell you. Here, here object got created. Okay, with this syntax, object got created in the memory. But you know what? You have not told to anybody that I am there here indirectly. Like you have not told to any of your reference variable. In the sense, you are not using any reference variable like this, right? So object came in the same moment. Object while coming, it came with the execution of your method also in the same syntax. So object taken birth first step, and object executed method second step. And since there are no reference variables to this object, immediately object got deleted also. So in this one line, three steps are happening. So when object came, immediately your constructor got executed, and object name dot m1, immediately your method got executed, right? And when there is no reference variable after that line, right? So there is no scope for this object to be live in the memory location. So immediate interpreter garbage collector will delete that object. So since object got deleted, our destructor got executed. Understand? So in simple, since there are no reference variables exist for this object is coming and going just like that without sitting over there in the memory location. So while coming and going, it executed M1. So that is what the understanding is. Interesting syntax, right? Okay, so yeah, question goes like this introduce. So without reference variable, can we execute methods? If we execute, how does it work? So this is what the explanation you have to give, right? When if you are not creating any reference variable, yes, object will get create, object will execute our methods, but object will not be anymore live in the memory location. It will be dead because there are no reference variables. Since there are no reference variable, garbage collector will eat it. Okay, understand? Okay, so garbage collector, I hope you have taken this. So you just write down basically, after that, you just write down garbage collector can remove only objects from the memory. Please understand there is some difference here. You get confused with object and reference variables. So collector can remove only objects from the memory, but not variables. Okay, but not variables. So, but here concept is if variables are going, then only object will go. In the sense, if there are no variables, then only your object will get delete, right? So concept is how to remove variables. To remove variables, we have to use del keyword. Okay, this is the very first session you got introduced to this del keyword. Now again you are you are going to use del keyword. So what is the point is see, here object is there, and here bloody garbage collector is there. Imagine, okay, garbage collector wants to eat this object, means you want garbage collector want to delete this object. So, but you have already one reference variable referencing this object. Okay, so garbage collector is not able to delete this object because one reference variable is there. And what you did in your STS program, x2 is equals to x1 kind of code you have written. You remember in yesterday's program, right? So you have got another fellow referencing to this like x2 now. So scope for garbage collector to delete this object is becoming tough. Now again what you did, x3 is equals to x2 you did. Means what now? Now total three people are referencing this object x3, correct? So when three people are referencing this object, automatically garbage collector confidence levels are going down to delete this object. If I have to explain this concept in a very layman terms, imagine uh, one of your enemy in your classroom, right? You wanted to beat that girl or boy, okay? So but they have done some wrong with you, mistake with you, so you wanted to very much, you are very much angry, you wanted to beat them. Point is, you are waiting for that girl or boy to be alone in the classroom, right? When once if they are alone, they can, then you can go ahead and give a slap or you can give a kick. But you are waiting, you're looking from your window, right, from the other side, but that girl or boy is not alone, that girl or boy is surrounded with one other friend. Okay, imagine. So now first friend is there with us. Okay, you are waiting till the time that first friend leave that your enemy, then you can go ahead and kick your enemy. But after half an hour, you are watching again that your enemy. So now second friend also joined with your enemy. So two friends are surrounded with your enemy. So your scope of beating or kicking that enemy is going down. Am I right or wrong? So after 1 hour you came and saw, now your enemy was surrounded with three people, three friends. Shit, my scope are really going down. I cannot. I don't think I can able to beat this girl. Okay, so beat this enemy. So this is what your feelings are going down, right? So now what you are going to do, you are very smartly, you are not directly going and hitting your enemy, rather you are calling one by one of your friend, right? Friends who are surrounded with that enemy. Hey, your principal sir is calling. So one friend has gone. And second friend, what you are doing? Hey, HOD is calling. So second friend has gone. Now, how many friends are surrounded with your enemy? Last friend, only one. Last one more friend. So you are telling, hey, one of the professor is calling. So whenever you are telling these things to them, immediately one by one will be going out from your enemy. Correct. So now you have complete scope that your enemy you found alone. Now you go and corner her. Okay, you go and kick her, beat, slap, whatever you want. Understand? So in the same way, here also garbage collector is you, object is enemy, x1, x2, x3 are your friends. Since only one object is referencing, RVC count is one, your scope of deleting object is less. Now you thought of deleting object, but now second reference variable is coming, your chances are going down. Third reference variable is coming, right? I mean, more people are getting to know where is the object located in the memory, right? The object is stabilizing, like more people are surrounded by your at your enemy side, so your chances are getting beating is going down, right? So likewise you have to understand. So let me explain how we can able to delete the objects by deleting the reference variable with another program. Now you see for a while, let me make this line comment for a while. Now, okay, you come here. You don't have to put comment. So I created object. Obviously, my constructor gets execute. Now what I'm going to do, now x2 is equals to x1. Now print x2. So control S F5. You can see constructor is getting executed only for once because only one time we have created object. But what's the story here is we have leaked the secret of object address to the two people. Okay, that way you have to understand. So only this bugger know in the first step. Now with this step, this bugger also getting to know. Correct? X1 and X2. Two fellows now referencing your object. So what is the count of RVC? 2. Right? Okay. Now x3 is equals to x2. So print of x3. So now total, what happened? All three people are pointing out to the same location. So it means to say that all are like friends of object. So now x3 is also pointing to this object. So total 3 reference variables are there. Okay. How to delete this object is the question now. Okay. How to delete this object? So we manually never delete object. Who will delete objects? Garbage collector will delete object. How garbage collector will delete object? If you stop pointing these variables to this object, then only garbage collector will come and delete this object. So stopping pointing to this object by these variables is in your hands. How, sir? That's what I was explaining. You delete your variables. X3 you deleted. So sending one friend to principal sir room. So now your enemy is surrounded with only two friends. So likewise, if I execute this, you see what is the impact? What is the impact? Tell me. Only you have this fellow, but so if you have deleted this fellow means your reference variable count moved from 3 to 2, but still two more friends are there, right? Two more objects are pointing, right? Now delete x2. Now what's the case? Tell me. When you deleted x2, now x2 has gone, right? Now RVC count is not 2, RVC count is only 1. Okay, so do you think object got deleted with the help of these two lines? No, not at all. Object is still there in the picture. Now see, I am going to delete the last reference variable of my object, that is x1. Now if I execute this code, now object got deleted. Perfectly, now object got deleted, right? So you see here, now this x1 is also gone. Now nobody is referencing, so there is 1 as well. Now reference variable count is 0. Then garbage collector, like lizard will eat ants, right? Fat bolke it will come. Likewise, garbage collector will come and it will delete it. Okay. So, but in terms of output, you don't see any change, sir. Where is the proof, sir? Tell me. You're saying the subject got deleted, but I don't see any change in the output of executing last statement, and without last statement, output is the same. Am I right or wrong? Correct. So that's where you have to ensure of executing destructor. The moment when you make your destructor active, now you see, I would like to give comment to my, okay, I hope you understood this diagram, right? Let me clear this. See, the moment when I delete only two reference variables, control S, what happened? Run module. You see now, the moment when I delete only two reference variables, it is showing the same old three prints and one constructor execution line, right? Now you see, when I delete the last reference variable, check the outputs. In destructor of X is getting executed. So did I execute a destructor manually? No. Destructor gets execute automatically whenever garbage collector is deleting that object. Okay. So that's what the story of garbage collector. Okay. So just take this program. I'll give 1 minute time and then I'll start off with a very new concept. If you're done, just let me know. See, I can do x2 is equals to x, okay, and del, okay, instead of x2, let's say x of 4. We have not taken x4 till now, right? X of 4 I'm doing directly. Control, you see now, just as a more understanding, control s F5. Can you see that? X4 is equals to X impact is constructor got executed. When you deleted X4, automatically reference variable was gone. So object, second object also gone. So second time destructor got executed. That's how it is. So shall I proceed? Okay. So let me move on. Okay. So till now, we have seen only one property of OOPS, that is encapsulation, right? So let's go ahead and see something more using properties of one class into another class. Okay, so this is your next heading. Okay, so we can use properties of one class into another class in two ways. Okay, so has a relationship is a relationship, okay, or inheritance, okay. So this is very very important comparative to above one. So above one is a traditional mechanism, and little advanced mechanism is inheritance concept, I can tell you. So basically till now you might have done minimum 10 plus programs in OOPS, but all these programs we have done with only one class. If you remember, only class X always I've been writing like that only, right? I have never used more than one class in my program, but in real time you will have more than one class in one file, right? In one specific project, right? So if you have more than one class, that is 3 4 classes, 2 3 classes, 7 8 classes as such, one class method can I use in another class, right? How the properties of one class we can able to leverage in another class or not? If yes, what is the syntax? How does it works? That is the concept of relationship between the classes. So relationship between the classes can be implemented in two ways: has a relationship and is a relationship, right? So Has a relationship means, if you have to understand in a layman terms, you know, uh, your father and your friend father, neighbor father. So your father children is you, and your friend father children is your friend, obviously. Okay, child is your friend. So whenever you are going to your neighbor home, your friend home, your father, sorry, whenever you are going to your friend home, your uncle, your friend father, will he recognize you straight by seeing you? No. He has to, he's saying, hey, who are you? Why you came to my home? Okay. I don't know who are you. You you come along with your father, then only I will recognize you. That is has a relationship. Means what? You always have to bring in your parent along with you. Understanding? So what is a relationship? Is a relationship is same concept. You go to your friend home, without you taking your father to your friend home, your friend father is recognizing you as a meaning he's recognizing your identity, right? Okay, so you are my child friend, come and play, right? In the first case is bring your father along with you. Second case is you can come alone. Okay, so just as a rough you write down. Okay, parent should be there always. Okay, so this is for your understanding only, but tomorrow, later, once if I give programs, then you'll realize. Okay, you have no need of parent to recognize to get recognized. Okay, so parent should be there always to get recognized. Now you will understand once after explaining couple of programs. Okay, right. So now what is has a relationship in terms of definition you try to take? See the concept of using one class, using the properties of one class into another class by using class name, by using class name, or by using a reference variable, by using a reference variable is known as has a relationship. Okay, so this is basically failure mechanism. I mean, not failure, like little complicated. So people don't really prefer this, but you also have to know this kind of methodology is also present. That's the reason I'm explaining. But 99% of the time, our focus must be on inheritance. Okay, so which is the second property of your oops. So let me proceed. Control N, Control S, and H1. See, let's say you have a global variable, sorry, static variable, right? Now you see, if I bring in my second class into the picture, okay, if I bring in my second class into the picture, first time you are seeing like this kind of syntax, right? You have not seen. See, now print, you know, in display of y, this is fine. In display of y, right, now you see, if you want to access one class property, so A is you, X is your dad, Y is your dad friend. Sorry, that's what your friend dad. Now you are coming to, this is your friend home and this is your home, correct? This is your home and this is your friend home, correct? Now whenever you wanting to come to your friend home and play, so basically what the point I am telling is, you should come along with your dad, then only you will get recognized. Who is your dad? X is your dad, X dot A. Okay. Okay, so you will understand this. Okay, so X dot A, so whatever the property you wanted to utilize in any other class, right, you should bring in it with its class name. So that is what the technically concept is. Okay, right. So control S. Now let me move ahead. Okay, so if you would like to execute M1, M1 is also property of class X. If you would like to execute M1 in class Y, so what you have to do, obviously you have to create object of class X, and with the object of class X only you have to call M1. Okay, this is how it is. Now come out, you create your object of y class and you call y1 dot m1, sorry, y1 dot display, because y1 can be called on only display method, because y1 y class has got only one method, that is display. If you call y1 dot m1, it will not work because m1 is not defined in y class. I hope you are understanding. So things gets complicated from here on. Okay, so please focus. You see now, first in display of 5000, how you got executed this statement, which is the first line gets executed in this statement, tell me, in this whole program, tell me the whole program. First is execute y1 is equals to y. Okay, and then y1 dot display. So when y1 dot display, interpreter checks display is called by y1. Is y1 exists? Yes, y1 is already there. For which class? It is class y. So object is created. So it will come here. It will come inside. It will check for display. Yeah, display is there. Display called, all good. So it will execute this print, and then immediately it will see x dot a. Where is this a and where is this x? This must be some from the other class, because uh, its class name is y and it is showing up x here. It means it must be from other class. Okay, so it will search for out and it will search in the program class x is there, and yes. Okay, x and a is there, super. Okay, so this line is correct. And what is this x1 equals to x, so object creation of same x class. Yeah, I already searched, x class is there, so this is correct. And x1 dot m1. Okay, so m1 is there or not in the x class? Yes, it is there. So absolutely this line is also correct. So let me go ahead and display output. This is how your interpreter will trace and execute your program. Okay, so point is, what you have to come along with your dad to get recognition. So that's what the concept of relationship. But all the time dad is not available, right? So that's the reason you have to go for a new concept called inheritance. Okay, so if you say yes, then I'll proceed and explain that. Taken. Okay, so let me go to next concept. Okay, so is a relationship is an advanced mechanism. See, is a relationship, as I said, you can get recognized all alone. Okay, so is a relationship or inheritance, very popular concept in oops, and because of this concept only today, lakhs of websites, lakhs of middleware projects are doing crores of business. And crores of families are getting bread and butter because of this kind of concepts. Tomorrow, god knows, out of this batch of students those are attending, maybe you also have to rely on this kind of concepts if you are going to software development, right? So concept of using, please take down, concept of using properties of one class into another class directly, please see, directly is known as inheritance, or is a relationship. So I will keep on call only inheritance, not is a relationship. Okay. So so now how directly you can call, there is a some syntax you have to follow. Okay. So a class which is extended by another class is known as super slash parent slash uh, super or parent base class. Okay. Three names. A class which is extending another class is known as super, opposite is sub, parent opposite is child, base opposite is derived. Okay. So people may call any of these terms, you should be pretty much clear. Okay. So point is super class. Okay. Super class properties directly we can access within the subclass. Okay. Directly we can access within the subclass, as like sub, like, okay, as like subclass members. Okay. As subclass members. Okay. So there is no difference, like you are coming from superclass or you are coming from subclass. As such, a subclass object will execute any of the class members. Okay. So point is we can access both superclass and subclass properties. We can access both superclass and subclass properties by using subclass name or subclass reference variable. Okay, so this is very very important point, and of course all points are very important. You have to be so clear with this. Okay, right? So I'll give 1 minute time, take and try to give a reading once. Shall I proceed? Okay. So let me explain what is this inheritance concept, and people who are already familiar with uh, C++ and Java, like it's cakewalk for them. Simple concept. Uh, Inheritance ex2. Okay, so ex1. So basically, you will have, whenever inheritance concept comes, you will have two classes. Okay. So your class X has got one property that is M1. Okay. And class Y has got another property that is M2. Okay. Now you see, okay. right? Let's also take a class static variables. Let's say a equals to 1000 and static variable b equals to 2000. Okay, right. Control S F5. I have just defined a couple of classes. Okay, now let me work with the class y first. Class y is equals to y1 is equals to y. So class y object I have created. Now y dot y1 dot m2. Will this work? Yes, sir. M2 is a method you defined in class y. Of course, it has to work. Control S F5. Super, working fine. How to call my b, that is static variable? How do you call y1 dot b? Correct. I'm not calling in the method, so straight away I'm calling outside of the class. Fine. Okay, good. So there is no doubt at all. How can I call my m1? Tell me. How can I call my m1? Can I call my m1 with y class? Yes, no. So first of all, tell me, how can I call my m1? What is there, sir, to call m1? Very simple. You create class of x and then you call m1, right? By creating object. Yes, by creating object to class x. Hello, mister. That is what I am telling. This is known old story only. No, every day morning you are getting up and seeing this only, right? Same class object if you create and if you call that method, then where is the usage of, where is the impact of inheritance? I am saying you don't have to create object of that class, and you can create, you can call your other class properties also with your current class object, current class reference variable. Understanding? So this is what the line, you please see with your open, complete open eyes. Y1 dot m1. Sir, m1 is defined in class x. That is not there in class y. How you can call m1 with class y reference variable, object reference variable? Will this work? Yes. If, see, control S. Will this work or not? Tell me. Will this work or not? Tell me basically. If you have really understood the concept of constructor, concept of constructor is what? One class properties you can use in another class. Okay, in another class means through another class reference variable you can call. That's what the meaning. Okay, we can use in another class without any hurdle. Okay, we can able to call this y1 dot m1 will work. Control S F5. It is throwing error. It is throwing error. In which line? Same y1 dot m1. It is not getting execute. That just now I said constructor concept is this only. One class properties you can call with other class is what I am telling. But here it is showing error. So as per Python syntax, you have to put inheritance syntax like this: y of x. Are you understanding? Class y of x. So when you put like this y is child class. Okay, getting x inherit in it. Okay, like y is you. Okay, y is you, right? X is your parent. Okay, and our parent properties will come to us, right? Am I right or wrong? So there was no connection. Yeah, earlier there was no connection. Now I am giving connection. So x is parent class. X is parent class. So basically a class which is getting extended into another class is called parent class. A class which is extending and extending, please try to understand, this got extended and this is extending, this is the child class. Now you see, I kept this syntax, right? Now let us see y1 dot m1 will work or still it will give error. Let me check. F5. You see now in m1 of x is working. In method m1, I managed to execute method m1 with the help of a y class object reference variable, right? So the other way to tell is without creating object of class x, I managed to execute m1, right? How, sir? This class got inherited in another class. That's what the concept is, right? Okay. So now can I call y1 dot a? You see, of course, right? So y1 has got 100% rights on our class x. It's like, your dad property will come to you only, right? So you can also spend your dad property. Likewise, y1 can also execute a, right? It's simple. Our daily life example only you can take and relate. It's very easy. So this is the basic example of constructor. Okay, I hope you have taken. Shall I remove? So, so a question to you, for all of you, if you are really a technical student, if you're really understanding, you have to tell me, sir, how many objects I have created in my program? Tell me, in my entire program, how many objects I have created? You can put in the chat how many objects I have created. One. Yeah, that's correct, Varun. One object I have created. But tell me how many objects got created internally? Okay. So Pranavi Santoshi is saying two objects got created. Even Anucha is saying two objects got created. Okay. So let us go ahead and see whether two objects really got created or not. Okay. So somebody is saying one object created. Okay. So yeah, you created one object manually, but actually inside one more object also got created. What is that object, sir? See, you are thinking y1.m1 is executing by y class object only. By front face, it looks like that, but internally, m1 gets create by x class object only. Okay, so I will just show that. I'll try to make you understand the concept of how one object helped in creating two objects. Okay, see. Okay, so you see class X. Now I am defining constructor for class X. You please see now. Okay, now come to class Y, and class Y is inheriting class X. Now what you do is you define one small method in your class Y. Okay, so in M1 of Y. Okay. Now, obviously, child class is Y. You create object of child class. Control S. Program is over. You see, sir, when I create Y1 equals to Y, what's happening? Tell me. What's happening? Tell me. Object is getting created. Okay, object is getting and address is getting stored in the Y1. Cool. Let me execute this. Control S F5. But in constructor of X is executing for what reason? If you have really understood why when this line comes, You can give answer to me in the chat. What is happening? See, when I created child class object, my parent class constructor is getting execute. That's what it is happening here, right? When I created child class object, my parent class object is getting constructor is getting execute. So tell me, sir, when your parent class constructor gets execute, not only parent class, any class constructor gets execute when that class object gets create, at that time only that class constructor gets execute. Am I right or wrong? So basically, when you allowed creation of child class object, okay, internally two objects are getting created. One is that particular object which you created, and the class which got inherited in y class. Okay, the class which got inherited in y class. So it means class x object also got executed. So because of that reason only constructor is getting executed, right? Am I right? So one, when you create one class object, automatically its parent class object also gets created. So what is our example, previous example? So this is what my example, right? What I was telling you, how many objects gets created. So can you answer me now properly? How many we created? We created one. You don't have to say one. How many objects got created? Tell me in the chat. Okay, so everybody got understood that parent class object also gets a create. So you are giving right answer for now. That is two. But the original answer is not two. Original answer is three. Right? Come on, sir. Early morning. Why are you confusing? Don't think like that. See, overall, not two objects with this program. Overall, three objects got created. Right? How those three objects got created, I will tell you. So, what is the third class object, sir? So here we have understood, when you created child class object, its parent class constructor got executed. It means obviously parent class object also got created. So two objects got created. Very well understood, taken. Then why again you're confusing by saying third class object got created? Yes, ma, you see here, basically how this, the diagrammatically, if I have to show, okay, so this is what your class X, imagine. Okay, this is what your class X, and this is what class Y class got inheriting your class X. This is class Y. Okay, so here whenever you do object creation, whenever you created object, I'm telling not only Y class object, accordingly X class object is also getting create. That is what I said. So two objects got create, right? It is not stopping only to this X, it is also going ahead and creating another class object. See, how I am writing. Try to understand. As a tree format, I'm writing, right? So this is parent, right? X is parent for us. For whom? For Y class. Y is child class. For Y class, who is parent? X is parent. And for X, who is parent? This fellow is parent. Who is this fellow, sir? This is object class. Okay, the name of that class itself is called object class. Okay, so now understand very carefully how many classes are there in my program. You can refer to the diagram as well as behind program also. In this program, I have given syntax of two classes, class X and class Y. And in this diagram, I am showing three classes. What is that? Class X, class Y, as well as on top of class X, one more fellow is there. Who is that? Object class. So why I have written object class on top of class X? Why not on below Y, or why not in between X and Y? Its understanding is object class is the supermost class for all classes of Python. Okay, So object class by default gets inherited into every other class of Python. Are you understanding? So this is called the supermost class in Python. If you know a concept of Java, in Java also, a language in Java language also the same concept holds. Okay, every class of Python gets inherit with the object class properties. Object is like, father of nation, right? He is father for everybody, right? So for you your own father is your father, right? For this child, this is he is the father. But our father, for everybody, father is object class. Understanding? So when you create object of class X, class Y, automatically its parent class which you have written, this class object gets executed, and at last, if there are no other parent to class X, your interpreter will end up in creating object class object also, right? So if you now really understood till yesterday, till before inheritance, what all programs we have done, for every class two minimum objects got created, right? So what is the second object for every class got created is object class object. Hey, my phone is ringing, just give me a minute. Okay, so I hope now you have understood basically what is the exact correct answer for this program. How many objects got created? Three objects got created. So what is the last object got created is object class object. Okay, so just take couple of points about object class. So just write down after this program, uh, in above program we created only y class object, but internally total three objects got created. Okay, y comma x comma object. Okay, these three classes objects got created respectively. Why the word respectively I have used? Because first object got created u, that is y. So y got inherited x class, so x object got created, and x does not got any manual inheritance, meaning you have not given any x top of x any class, so automatically it will end up in create object class object. Okay, right? So what is object class, which is very 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 important in terms of you know interview questions? Object class. So object class is a predefined class which is defined in built-ins module. Okay, you must have forgotten built-ins module. Built-ins module by default gets invoked imported into every other .py file. In the early sessions we have understood this, right? So object class is the super class for all classes in Python. Okay, that is very important point. So if it is super class for all classes in Python, object class properties we can access in every class directly, right? So object class properties we can access in every class directly. Object class properties, object class properties we can access through any object reference variable, any object reference variable. Okay, so let us use one object class property. Let us use one object class method instead. Underscore underscore hash underscore underscore in our below program to understand object object class object creation, object class object creation. Okay, so take this, control control and control s, obj1 object class example. Okay, so class x m1 of self. So class y right. Now you just see what I'm doing is print y dot underscore underscore basis underscore underscore. So what I'm doing here, so first of all, okay, maybe I might have missed one point. Please write down here in the note. Okay, all special variables and special methods in Python with the syntax underscore underscore uh, name underscore underscore. Okay, with syntax and with syntax of underscores. Okay, with syntax of underscore underscore word underscore underscore are from object class. Okay, are from object class. Okay, so magic method, special methods, whatever you have given answer for me in the question, right? So those are all from the object class properties. Okay, right. Now basis is what? Basis is a variable. one second. So print, what is this basis doing, sir? See, first of all, one point for you to understand, basis you have not defined in class Y and class X, but you are trying to use this basis with Y class. So obviously this is not from class Y and class X, means this must be from some other class. Okay, so what is that, I will tell you first, but you see the answer. It is saying class underscore underscore main underscore underscore dot x. So basis variable gives its father name. Okay, basis variable gives its uh, father name. Okay, meaning which its parent class name, its immediate parent class name. Okay, so basis gives its immediate immediate parent. Why I'm telling immediate parent? There will not be slow parent or immediate parent as such. Immediate parent means this class this class got inherited from which class, that is what called immediate. Okay, so you see on top of class X we have object class, which you have understood, right? So who is the immediate parent of class Y? Means it is X only, not class object. Okay, like object is like grandfather for your class Y. Okay, but X is father for your class Y. And now tell me, who is the father of X? That is object. Okay, so immediate means that. Now you see, let me try to give print x dot underscore underscore basis underscore underscore control s fi. Can you check that x class father is, parent is object class object, it is showing up. Am I right or wrong? So basically basis helps you in finding out the parent. Okay, right, who is your next immediate parent. Okay, right, now you see I'm creating y class object. Y1 dot M2 very well work. Y1 dot M1 also very well work. This is what you have understood. Now let me also utilize some other. See, this program is to make you understand without creation of basis, without creation of this underscore underscore hash underscore underscore method. How come these are working? So you should get that doubt. Sir, what is this line? I have called a method using Y class object reference variable. So, sir, so what interpreter does? Okay, if you are the interpreter, if I am the interpreter, if I have to trace, okay, so while interpreter came to this line, okay, this fellow called y1 dot underscore underscore hash underscore underscore open close. So this is a some method called with y1. So y1 object is there or not? First, it will check the y1 object. Okay, yes. So y1 object is there. So Y class is there first of all. Yes, Y class is there. Very good. In Y class, you have hash method, no hash method. Then why this fellow called hash method? Is he mad or what? Your interpreter will think for a while. And no, Y class got inherited some other class. So maybe hash method is from this X class. Let me go to X class and let me check X class methods. In X class also there is no hash method. Why this fellow has given this hash method? Oh, sorry, I mistaken. And hash comes with underscore underscore. No, so it means obviously this is not present in Y and X. This will be obviously from the our own supermost class, that is object class. So straight away it will get inside of object class. In the object class, for sure your hash method will be defined. So it will execute that hash method. So that hash method logic gets executed here, and then that gets a result, something will be stored in P and gets printed P. Now technically what hash method is doing, sir, let me tell you. Hash method is doing it will take it will once again, hash method does what, hash method will take indirect address. See, print y1, what you will get if you print y1, it will get in which format? Hash, hexadecimal, right? Hexadecimal, correct? So hexadecimal format it will take. Okay, because we are giving here hexadecimal format, we are applying on the applying hash method on the hexadecimal y1. So hash method will convert this hexadecimal into decimal form. So this p is a decimal form now. Okay, so this method converts hexadecimal to decimal. Okay, so that's what you are understanding. Control x, control s, f5. You understood 0x so on. So basically, if you remember, whenever I did in the very variable understanding, data type understanding, mutable, immutable, those in early days, so never class object address is in hexadecimal, right? Always it was pointing out like this only in the numerical form, whether it is negative or positive, don't bother. Point is, it used to show object address, id of a, id of b in the earlier classes, if you remember, right? Sir, idea of A, idea of B also is the object address location only. It is those days it is showing numerical, and why here class object showing in this format? This doubt nobody has asked actually. Okay, this doubt you should get. Am I right or wrong? Right. So simple guys. What I am trying to tell you is A equals to 10. Okay, print ID of A. Control S F5. See, ID means what? Address only. Okay. So this 10 is an integer object. That address we have stored in the variable A, and print ID of A. It should give the object indirect address. Correct. So this is also object indirect address. But why it is showing up in decimal for direct variables when we used earlier? Now why it is showing like so? Point what I am trying to make you understand is for every predefined class till now whatever we have seen, right, hash method gets internally executed, and that gets converted into decimal form. So hexadecimal by default, interpreter puts indirect address in the hexadecimal form, and object class hash method gets execute internally, and the hexadecimal form gets converted into decimal form, and that's the reason you are seeing this is in the decimal form. So now here manually I have converted decimal form, because this class x and class y is our user defined class, custom classes we call. But this is what called, this is an integer class. Integer class is also extending object class properties. If you have to really understand integer class, str class, float class, complex class, the class, whenever we saw data types, it has been showing classes, right? Here if I write print type of a, control s f5, you see class int. So class int means what? This is like class x only. Class x is written by me, and class int is written by Guido van Rossum. So when class int has been implemented, while implementing, Guido van Rossum inherited object class properties into class int. Okay, and there he modified hash method. Okay, understood. So that's how it is. Every object class property we can able to access in our all custom classes, meaning user defined classes. So that is what the concept of object class. Okay, it returns decimal or integer. Okay, so this is what the concept of object class. And the next heading you can put types of inheritance, and I will discuss this in our tomorrow's session.